Hey, Ben here, and welcome back to my election prediction series. I decided to go blank sticker, or blank sticker, yes. I'm using a blank map for right now just because, that's where I decided I want to start with. So, as we all know, Johnson will not make the debate. At least the first one, still has time to make the second one. And again, I'd like to clarify that I am endorsing Gary Johnson. I will be voting for him in November. For those of you who think that I'm just extremely pro-Trump, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination. I actually legit see people non-ironically predicting him to win places like New York and Oregon and Washington and Minnesota. If you want to accuse me of being pro-Trump, no. I'm sorry. I'm not predicting outlandish victories for him. I'm predicting things that, while a little bit outside of what you'd expect, that they're within reason at least, okay? And especially when I factor in where the trend line, this is not a state of the race video, okay? If it was a state of the race video, Clinton would have won everyone except for the prediction immediately after the RNC. This is where I think the race will eventually wind up being. This is not a state of the race. Okay? And by the way, the race has somewhat normalized. It's still trending back a little towards Clinton, but not very heavily. It's going slowly back in her favor, unlike after the DNC and after the early to mid-August Trump controversies, which heavily put the race back in her favor. As a matter of fact, like I said, there was a point where I would have said, yeah, okay, she can win North Carolina if everything stays the same and the trend line keeps moving where it is. And here's the thing, the other reason. I use the trend line because the trend line is extremely important in determining where the next set of polls will go. For those of you who think that's a little bit silly to use it, Nate Silver of 538 uses it, and a few other places use it. Don't just use the RCP average. Look at where the RCP average has been going. Okay? You can't say that that polls are gonna remain exactly the same up until the election. Now, this is my final pre-debate video, okay? And things, like I said, have gone a bit back towards Clinton. I'll say that much. In some states, we've gotten some newer polls, and some we haven't. And one of the ones I'm going to be using in certain states but won't use elsewhere is the Google Consumer Survey, simply because there are some states where the sample size was just so low it's not worth bothering with, and there are some states where they had more than 1,000 respondents, so those are the states where I'll probably be looking at it. And I also got my Johnson and Weld campaign stickers today. I may or may not include a picture or something at the end of it, but I got those today, so there's that. And we're just going to go through, I'm going to go ahead and give all the states I think are absolutely safe for both candidates first. Actually, Illinois is going to be left out because I'm going to leave Illinois off, okay? For a very important reason. New York is safe. Vermont is safe. Oops, not Connecticut. Maryland is safe. District of Columbia is safe, okay? And we're going to go ahead and go safe and then likely. Idaho is safe. Wyoming is safe. North Dakota, South Dakota, those are safe. States. Safe votes there. Safe votes there. Arkansas is safe. Louisiana is safe. I'm actually moving 2 states into the safe column. Mississippi and South Carolina. Those are the 2 states that I'm moving into the safe column. I'm moving Mississippi into the safe column because I have not seen a close poll in about 3 or 4 weeks, and most of the polls coming out of there are showing Trump with a 15-plus lead. So it's just not worth it to keep it. And with the safe votes, you get basically everybody's equal. Now, they would be equal if Utah didn't have this weird anti-Trump, anti-Clinton thing and no Johnson effect. New Mexico as well, I think, would be safe Dem if Johnson wasn't polling as highly nationally as he did. And Texas is the one that I'm actually seriously surprised at. And same with Washington. That's one that I'm a little surprised about, as well as some of the other New England states. Okay, now we're going to go likely states. We're going to add the likely states for each candidate. That's Washington State. I haven't seen a poll within... We're actually moving Oregon into likely. I haven't seen a poll within 5 in a couple months, and most of the ones I've seen are between 5 and 10. Minnesota, I think, is gravitating back in that direction. Though I've seen polls in both lean and likely, I think it's starting to go. Like I said, the race is going back towards Clinton, so we're going to be moving Minnesota back in that direction. Connecticut, same thing. Rhode Island, same thing there. Illinois is the newest addition to this. Like I said, there's some parts that are moving towards Clinton, there's some parts that are moving towards Trump. And that's kind of what a normalization does, is it moves the areas back to where they should go, except in a few rare cases, which we're actually going to show you. Illinois, I've seen a few reputable polls put it within 10, so we're going to make it likely, though I expect it on election day it'll be outside of the 10, but for some reason it just seems that it's polling within 10. I don't understand it. Actually, I don't know. I'm really curious. I want to see at least one more poll within 10 before I actually put it there. So we're actually putting this in the safe column, okay? And also this vote I'm moving into the likely Trump column, as well as Texas and Georgia. I've seen more and more evidence that it's a likely Trump state. Missouri, same thing. And Utah is also a likely Trump state. So at this rate, we have, and this is a likely Clinton state. Now at this rate, we're going towards where the for sure leaners are going to be. Arizona, New Mexico, every poll that I've seen from there has been a lot closer than I ever thought it would be. And so we're going to only lean at this election. I don't understand it. But like I said, I'm leaning it because it's truly in Clinton's camp. Michigan has been extremely close. The trend line is looking really good for Trump, but we're still leaning it. New Hampshire, while it's a toss-up, it's definitely leaning Clinton this year. Pennsylvania, it's definitely leaning Clinton this year, though I've seen most years it'd probably be a likely. I think a generic Republican would actually win Pennsylvania this year, but I don't think Trump can. New Jersey is the weird one. I actually saw a Google consumer survey with like a few, I'm trying to remember exactly what the sample size was, but it was well above the 400 likely voter cutoff I use to determine whether or not to even bother looking at it. And it was way above that. And it actually showed Trump up too. That's why I'm downgrading it to likely. North Carolina has definitely been in Trump's column, so is Iowa. So what we really get are these states that are toss-up. And the reason why I'm leaving Maine as a toss-up, even though I know for sure one district is safe Clinton, is because the most recent poll I could find actually showed the statewide vote as a dead heat. Like an actual tie, not just a statistical tie, a dead heat. Trump's going to win that 2nd congressional district based off of all polls I've seen, and potentially even by as much as 10 or 11 points. And apparently he's polling well enough in the Portland area to bring the entire state to a lean. To be a dead heat. So, you know what? I'm actually going to say that, Kelvin picked up on something better than I did. And I'm going to go ahead and actually, this is one of the biggest changes this is a change I never thought I'd make. The statewide vote in that 2nd congressional district are going to lean Trump, while that 1st congressional district is going to be for Clinton. So we're at 238, 215 with 85 true toss-ups. Virginia's leading Clinton. I'm sorry, 251. At this point, if Clinton wins Florida, she wins the election. And here, I want to see, an Ohio victory would bring would max bring a tie. Now I have seen, as somebody mentioned, there's a poll with Clinton up +5, but there's also one with Trump up +1. There's also one with Trump up +3. There's one with Trump up +2. To the person who thinks that Trump is up +5, to the person who thinks that that Clinton is up +6 or +5 or whatever that poll says, number one, that poll is at the moment, it's noise, because it's the only poll of Florida that pollster has done, and it has about a 5-point Clinton house effect. Okay? Remember, every pollster has a house effect. Okay? Very, very few don't have a house effect. Okay? And that's because of the way that's because sometimes there's sample bias. Sometimes it's because of, demographic bias. Sometimes it's because of the leanings of the people who run the poll. It's no secret that most universities are a little bit liberal, so most university polls tend to lean more Democrat. Okay, just like Rasmussen has a Republican leaning house effect. Most house effects are not very outrageous. As a matter of fact, most are within a point, so you just ignore it. Rasmussen's is about 1.5 points according to Nate Silver. Though I'm curious if he's perhaps overstating it, but I wouldn't be too surprised considering they did have Romney leading the week, like 2 days before the election, so that could be it. I could see so this is the state of the race, but I'm going to go ahead and try and make a prediction based off of it. So we've got 5 true toss-ups. Wisconsin is the most surprising, in my opinion. Okay, if Clinton wins those 2, she wins the election. And here's the thing, I actually do suspect, I think she's going to win Colorado. Last week I said that Trump would, but I'm expecting the polls, since they're normalizing back over here, enough to put Clinton ahead in Pennsylvania. And they're normalizing over here as well, putting Oregon likely. Washington still polling within 10, so we're leaving it there. Minnesota going back. I suspect that the next round of polls in Colorado will show her up, but not by a whole lot. Nevada, of course, is going to Trump. Ohio still shows a Trump lead. Florida as well still shows a Trump lead, and it all comes down to Wisconsin in this instance, which is very weird. And the most recent Marquette Law Firm poll showed Clinton up 3, which would indicate it's leaning Clinton. However, their previous one showed her up +5, if I remember correctly. So it's actually moving towards Trump. And the one before that showed her up in +13. So it's moving, it's slowly plateauing, and it's going to plateau into almost, I think where it's eventually going to plateau is either with a slight Trump lead, or it's going to be Florida 2000 all over again. And honestly, I think that's actually going to go towards Trump in this case. So in a very weird twist, we're going to see Trump up 278 to 260. So he's put up enough of a gain in Maine to make it seem a little more comfortable, but it's not going to be a very comfortable win. Of course, if Clinton wins like this, it's not going to be a comfortable win for her either, because it really shows that Democrats' hold on a lot of the country is kind of slipping. And in the next few years, you could very likely see some weird map that looks like, you can see a weird map that looks you can see a map that looks like this, just completely, but yeah, so yeah, this is where I think the race stands, as of today. This is Thursday, it's September 22nd at 3:45. And this is where I think the race stands as of today. Like I said, it's bouncing a little bit back towards Clinton. We're gonna have to see where the polls go, and we're gonna have to see what happens in the first debate on Monday. It could very well be a draw. That's the first thing. My gut instinct is it's going to be a draw, or either Clinton's going to win big time because Trump loses his temper, or Trump is not going to look like the boogeyman the media has made him out to be, and he's going to dominate the first debate. And we could see polls with Trump up 7, and Trump up 10, and Trump up 5. Of course, if Clinton wins, we're going to see polls with her up double digits as well. If it's a draw, believe it or not, a draw favors Trump. Okay, this is kind of like Armageddon odds in chess, for those of you who know what Armageddon odds are. And Trump is black in this case. Since we're going with this analogy, Trump is playing as black. Which makes sense. But a draw favors Trump, because if he's doing well enough to draw the debate, he is not looking like that means he's competent enough to draw somebody who has expertise in government, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and hope you enjoyed, and make sure to actually participate in the poll this time, please.